Hey everybody, I'm Chef Moore and I'm going to show you how to make a mean cast iron ribeye. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing today is getting our steak itself ready. So here we have a 2.5 pound ribeye steak, bone in. And bone in really is the key for this. It brings out a lot of flavor, helps contain the moisture as you're cooking, and it looks cool. As far as the steak itself goes, salt on both sides, as well as the fat cap on top. This locks in a lot of the flavor. So the key to cooking with cast iron is that you want to get it as hot as possible. This is butter that we're adding to the pan, and then we'll also be adding fresh rosemary sticks and whole cloves of garlic. It really brings out the flavor, it helps with the caramelization, and this will really heighten the flavor, smell. Rosemary and the butter, garlic add a lot of flavor to it, so as we start basting the steak itself, all that flavor will get incorporated, and when the fats and the meat start breaking down, it all comes together and it mixes in with the beef. So we're flipping it over to get the sear on both sides, and that will start to lock in your flavors and help start breaking down the fats on both sides of it. I typically wait to flip it 3 or 4 minutes on each side to make sure that you're getting a real hot, hard sear on it. You'll start seeing the caramelization come in here, and that'll develop more as we roast it and start basting it. I prefer to cook my steaks to mid-rare medium, especially when a steak this size. You really want to give it time in the oven to break down. Ribeyes are usually better at that mid-rare medium stage. We're going to go ahead and throw it in the oven to allow it to finish cooking. First thing we'll be doing is the Brussels sprouts and carrots. Again, you want to make sure your pan's hot before you add any of your other ingredients. If your pan's not hot and your oil or butter, whatever you're using, isn't hot, you basically just end up steaming the vegetables. So in here I've put in the butter, some roasted garlic, the Brussels sprouts. Now that we have the greens, you can start seeing the greens brighten up a little bit. That comes from the actual cooking process. They'll start to brighten up, and when we get to that point is when we want to add our carrots. I fell in love with these carrots. They come from a local farm here in Phoenix, Blue Sky Farms. I'm gonna add brown sugar and agave syrup. We'll reduce the heat down to just a simmer and let those slow cook, and what it will do is the sugars and agave will reduce down and create a glaze or a sauce with the butter and garlic that's already in there. Now on the candied shallot, we'll start with a hot pan, oil, shallot. With the hot oil in there, we want to start seeing the shallots become translucent. Now that the shallots are translucent and starting to caramelize, we'll go ahead and add in our red wine vinegar and a balsamic vinegar. And then just a little bit of brown sugar to help the sweetness along. And this will also help thicken up the sauce itself. And then we're just going to let these reduce. And this takes about 5 or 6 minutes. Checking to make sure all these shallots are soaking up the juices, and you can see that by how fast the liquid runs out as you move it around. Now that we've pulled the steak out of the oven, we're gonna set it off to the side and let it rest for about 10 or 15 minutes. All right, now that we've let the steak rest, we'll pull it out and get ready to carve it. We want to take the fat cap off because it's mostly inedible, and we've gotten as much flavor as we can out of that during the cooking process, so it just makes it easier to plate and cut later. You just want to run your knife along the length of the bone, get in as close to it as you can to get as much meat off it. Then we'll begin plating. Delicious carrot, Brussels sprouts, a couple of these slices of steak, shallot. There you have it. Go ahead and give this a flavor taste. That's good. I really like the Brussels sprouts. I think they bring a great flavor to any dish. A flavor that came off of the cast iron searing, as well as some of the garlic and rosemary. A lot of flavor, there's crunchiness to it, and it really has a sweetness that lends well to the roasted steak.